Good afternoon. My name is Dan Scripps, and I am the Chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission. I call this meeting of the Commission to order on October 5th, 2022 at 1:03 p.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps.
Present.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner Paratic.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting is being held in person at the Commission's office at 7109 West Saginaw Highway in Lansing, and we're also hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Live Event. It is compatible with all browsers except Safari. Telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via the live stream, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the closed caption or CC button in the lower right corner of the screen. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess but proceed in person. The meeting will be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comment via mpsc_commissioners@michigan.gov. For reference, this email is also included in the Q&A feature on the live stream event on your computer and in the meeting notice. We'll have an opportunity for the public to make comment as provided for in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comment should be limited to one per person and can be made verbally in person or by calling in or in writing via the live stream Q&A feature. If you are participating via Teams application, you can use the Q&A feature and type your comments in the box anytime during our meeting, and we will have those queued up to read. The Q&A function should be used to submit public comments directed to the Commission. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so either in person or by calling in to the meeting by phone. And to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by phone will be muted until we reach the time for public comment. The first order of business is approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of the agenda for today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the September 8, 2022 Commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the September 8th, 2022 Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the September 8, 2022 Commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the Commission meeting minutes of September 8, 2022 are approved. The next item of business on the agenda is the approval of orders on the consent agenda, and today the Commission is assisted by Staff Attorney Jana Bachman. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Good afternoon. Today's consent agenda consists of 3 communications matters and 5 electric matters. The proposed orders and minute actions for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. I move for the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The orders and minute actions on the consent agenda are approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4A1 is case number U-11830, which involves a request filed by AT&T Michigan for an extension of the approved performance measures and remedy plan. The order before you approves the extension.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-11830.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-11830 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B1 is case number U-18425, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company for ex parte approval of a power purchase agreement with SDS Hydropower LLC. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-18425.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-18425 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B2 is case number U-20165, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval of 2 power purchase agreements. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20165.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20165 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B3 is case number U-20604, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company seeking ex parte approval of amended power purchase agreements between Consumers Energy Company and Next Sun Energy LLC and Blue Elk Solar One LLC. The order before you approves the amended power purchase agreements.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20604.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20604 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B4 is case number U-20604, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company seeking ex parte approval of a power purchase agreement between Consumers Energy Company and Blue Elk Solar 2 LLC. The order before you approves the power purchase agreement.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20604.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20604 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B5 is case number U-20826, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company for authority to implement a power supply cost recovery plan for the 12 months ending December 31st, 2021. The order before you approves the 2021 PSCR plan and accepts the 5-year forecast as set forth in the order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20826.
I second the motion.
Before we vote, I want to say a few words on this. First, I want to acknowledge that the issues relating to the contractual agreements involving the utilization of the Nexus pipeline by both DTE Electric and DTE Gas have been heavily litigated over the past several years, and that the inherent overlap between power supply cost recovery and gas cost recovery plan and reconciliation cases has at times resulted in some degree of uncertainty as to which issues have been resolved and which remain contested. As a starting point, the Commission wants to affirm its determination from previous orders that the Nexus Precedent Agreement and its subsequent amendments were reasonable and prudent at the time they were made, and that the Commission's previous determinations regarding those decisions should be given preclusive effect. As such, the order before us agrees with DTE Electric that the company is not required to relitigate the original Nexus agreement in each PSCR case. The Commission has also now approved recovery of the underlying Nexus-based transportation rate in multiple cases, and in addition, the Commission has found that in past cases, and affirms here, that DTE Electric has justified the reasonableness and prudence of its projected costs associated with the Teal Amendment to its underlying Nexus contract. And finally, the Commission notes that in multiple prior PSCR plan and reconciliation cases, as well as those on the gas side, we've encouraged DTE to take steps to reduce fuel costs to its customers, including efforts to renegotiate the Nexus agreement in response to changing market conditions. At the same time, however, we've also acknowledged in previous cases that the mere fact that the company has failed to take meaningful steps to renegotiate the underlying Nexus contract did not, on its own, justify a disallowance. We also have recognized that DTE undertook the Teal Amendment to lower PSCR costs and have found, again, that those benefits have accrued. And that said, the Commission will continue to review DTE's actions, including extensions to the Teal Amendment and other efforts to renegotiate its Nexus supply arrangements in light of the company's continuing obligation to monitor and respond to market conditions and system needs. While this continued diligence isn't necessary, the order before us also represents what I think is an important step in bringing clarity and I hope some degree of finality to a number of important issues that we've worked through over the past several years. And I appreciate the efforts of our staff the many administrative law judges who have been involved in different proceedings, and the company and other interveners for providing a robust record on which to base this decision. Is there any additional discussion?
I just briefly would like to thank you, Chair, for your leadership on this order in particular, and helping to provide that clarity for what is really a thicket, a complex set of precedent and overlapping cases. And just thank you again for your leadership.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20826 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B6 is case number U-20890, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to promulgate rules governing electric interconnections and distributed generation, and to rescind legacy net metering rules. The order before you formally adopts the interconnection and distributed generation standards and transmits them to the Legislative Service Bureau and the Michigan Office of Administrative Hearings and Rules for formal approvals.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20890.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I would while this is just an interim order issuing the submission of this rule set to the Office of Administrative Hearings and Rules, I would like to just take a moment to acknowledge all of the work that has gone into this revised rule set by staff, the utilities, and all of the parties to this case to thoughtfully think through the proper way to integrate distributed and advanced energy resources into the electric grid into the future. It's important that we have an effective plan for incorporating new advanced technologies, and that our state's regulations are not holding back cost-effective ways to improve reliability and affordability of electric service while placing the safety of our line workers and residents at the forefront.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I want to echo those comments and also thank you for your leadership on this. We had originally issued this, as you said, interim order back in March, received some feedback from the utilities that led us to reopen that record, and I think the additional arguments that we received and the deliberations that were involved after the fact have made this an improved set of rules and taken a number of the issues raised into account as we move forward. So appreciate your leadership and the work of all involved. Any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20890 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B7 is case number U-21009, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting approval of the reconciliation of its renewable energy plan costs and revenues for the 12-month period ended December 31st, 2020. The order before you approves the application along with a 2021 transfer price schedule.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21009.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21009 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B8 is case number U-21290, which involves the application of Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation requesting ex parte approval to amend the WEPCO rate zone LED 1 rate schedule to provide for alternative customer payment. The order before you approves the application.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21290.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21290 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4B9 is case number U-21305, which involves an investigation, audit, and review of the methods employed by Consumers Energy Company and DTE Electric Company to secure good electric service and ensure the safety of the public under Michigan law. Staff member Allie Durfee will describe this order.
Good afternoon. I'm Allie Durfee. Order U-21305, Commission's own motion response to storm damage and related steps. As a result of the storms that moved across southern Michigan on August 29, 2022, a 14-year-old girl contacted a downed power line and was fatally injured. As well, two brothers, 8 and 10 years old, contacted a different downed power line and were critically injured. The storm resulted in almost 500,000 Michigan utility customers losing electric service, anywhere from around a few hours to several days. Dozens of schools in the area of southeast Michigan were closed as a result of lack of electric service. These issues are present a year after the order in case number U-21122, which came from a request from Governor Whitmer for the Commission to take action on issues of outage credits, updating of technical standards and service quality rules, planning and reporting around system reliability and distribution performance, and emergency preparedness. That order put a number of reporting requirements into place, and the Commission issued further directives aimed at distribution planning in its March 3rd and September 8th, 2022 order in case number U-20147. While these efforts have produced some effective measures, the Commission is concerned that little progress has been made to improve distribution system reliability and increase measures that ensure the safety of the public and utility workers who encounter the electrical distribution system. Therefore, the Commission finds that simply commencing another examination of the response of the utility to increasingly predictable extreme weather conditions is no longer the reasonable and prudent course of action, and directs Consumer Energy and DTE Electric to provide an update on current compliance with each directive and commitment in various past orders. Consumers Energy and DTE Electric are also directed to report on current compliance with each of the directives listed by the Commission in the May 17 order in case number U-20169, along with report on several issues pertaining to wire down responses. The report is to be filed no later than November 4th, 2022. The Commission also directs staff to commence the process of hiring a consultant to perform an independent third-party audit and review of the distribution systems, including all equipment and operations of Consumers Energy and DTE Electric. The review should focus on the actions necessary to reduce the total number of outages and the duration of outages, and the identification of needed improvements to safety, particularly with respect to the potential for contact with the electrical distribution system by the public. Staff shall gather info and report to the Commission on necessary steps in the process, including the need for a request for proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Durfee. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21305.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to first express my appreciation for the recent progress that has been made in understanding our state's reliability, safety, and affordability challenges, and for all of the effective methods that have been developed to tackle this important issue for the state. Unfortunately, over the last decade, our reliability metrics have not improved, even after many Commission orders, investigations, and initiatives to attempt to solve this difficult problem and a plan for a and to solve the difficult problem and plan for a future with increased number and intensity of storms. Rather than trying the same things over and over again that have not shown measurable results in the past, today we're hoping an independent third-party review of the adequacy of the electric distribution system will help determine measures that may mitigate or avert future crises, including the loss of life and loss of essential public services. We're hoping that this will be collaborative with our utilities operating the distribution system and will result in real, meaningful next steps that will result in a distribution system with the affordability and reliability that Michigan customers deserve.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd add only that, and I think you covered this well, but today's order represents a new approach to the challenges associated with safety and reliability of the utilities distribution networks. We've, again, after each storm that's taken place, or major storm over the last decade, had gone through the sort of familiar pattern of doing a review and offering some directives, but ultimately we haven't seen the improvements that we had hoped to date. The truth is that there is some good work already taking place, from accelerated tree trimming to fusing and other approaches, and in the places where this work has been undertaken, the results look promising. But as you note, it's also true that despite a series of orders in response to storms and widespread outages, we're still not where we want to be or need to be in terms of the number and duration of outages and the safety of the overall system. My hope is that this new approach, following up on the actions taken in response to the directives included in prior orders, combined with updates to our technical standards for electric service and utility service quality rules, and the distribution planning efforts, as well as the independent third-party review of the utilities infrastructure processes and programs, will allow us to identify and take appropriate steps to make meaningful progress in delivering the distribution system Michigan residents and businesses deserve. Any additional comments?
I do not. Those comments were well said.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner. We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21305 is approved. I recognize Ms. Bachman.
Item 4C1 is case number U-20236, which involves an application filed by DTE Gas Company seeking authority to reconcile the costs and revenues associated with its gas cost recovery plan for the 12 months ended March 31st, 2020. The order before you denies the petition for rehearing filed by the Michigan Department of Attorney General.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. I move to approve the order in case number U-20236.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20236 is approved. We have now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the Commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments in the following order. First, individuals attending in person. Next, written comments from individuals using the Microsoft Teams live stream Q&A. Then verbal comments from individuals submitting names in the Q&A feature and who have called into the meeting. And finally, from individuals participating only through the phone option. Please note that you can only make verbal comments, as noted earlier, by speaking in person at the meeting or calling in through the phone option. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you're willing to share so that we have it for our records. And please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes, so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. If any person attending in person desires to address the Commission, please come to the microphone at the podium. And I think I've got Anthony Selly. Apologies if I didn't get your name right, but welcome you to join us at the podium.
You got it right. When I called, they said there wasn't a time limit. I have probably 5 minutes of conversation, but there's a lot of code which extends the duration of the reading. So I still request the time permitted to needed to make you guys aware of some stuff.
I can give you 5 minutes.
Well, it might take a little more. So on March 13th of this year, I opened a deceptive letter by AEP. I was provided a 10-day window to opt out of a smart meter. I was told I could have a standard meter. Reasonably, my perception and belief was that meant a meter that turns. 460-10R, Section 10R 1A, R460-3605, Rule 6052, R460-3613, Rule 613-2. I called AEP to opt out of this unsafe device being attached to my private dwelling. I instructed AEP they do not have my consent to violate my rights and cited some post-2015 law like the 2021 U.S. District Court of Appeals ruling docket number 20-1025 relevant to R792-10428, Rule 428. And science, like the 2018 NTP study on 3G, both which are in the public interest, contradict AEP's wantonly deceptive claim that pulsing millimeter wave radio frequency radiation is safe. 460.62, Section 12, 460.10, Rule 10A, the Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 1. AEP, unbeknownst to me, intentionally falsified the color of my call. AEP willfully misrepresented its fact and unjustly contorted my express demand to not attach this unsafe device to my private dwelling. This malfeasance and deceptive practice of falsifying my consumer intent led me to assume no further acts of health, safety, and peace protection were required. R460-812 Rule 2, R460-814 Rule 4, or 460-101-2. But on 6/1, AEP quietly entered onto my private property and against my demand affixed one of their noxious devices onto my dwelling, but none of my neighbors. While inaccurate, if hypothetically I did not opt out, as AEP claims, AEP in their 314 letter enact the obligation that once the installation is complete, a notice will be left on your door. This contractual obligation is entirely false because AEP failed 100% to comply with this element of their opt-out letter. 460-10U, Section 10U, BC. 6.5, when I was filling a 5-gallon jug of water at my outdoor water spigot, which unknowingly to me was now directly below a noxious and unsafe pulsing antenna. Without notification or any provided safety warnings, my head was directly next to this unsafe device. While filling the jug, my head started to pulse and throb with pain. My stomach felt uneasy and noxious. I became dizzy. I have never had such an experience and quick forming attack like this before. When I looked over, I witnessed next to my head an unsafe and deceptively affixed pulsing millimeter wave radio frequency radiation antenna. I knew the source of my harm and I backed away. The harm felt stopped. 468.14, Rule 4, 460.101, Rule 1-2, 460.10, Section 10A, 460.169, Rule 69. I discovered this multi-millimeter wave MIMO when I was injured by this antenna, which is the property of AEP, R460.3409, Rule 4091. When I got my sea legs, I immediately called AEP and demanded this unsafe and unwanted device be removed, or I would. Faced with a great disparity in force, I was willing to act to remove this harmful antenna to protect the safety of those within my private dwelling. On 6/6, AEP demanded before all harm they wrongly created and were causing me would stop, I first had to surrender my property to them. Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, 10, and 24, R460.3801, Rule 801, R460.3101, Rule 101, 1, 2, and 3. It is false to assert electromagnetic radio frequency radiations cannot penetrate the dwelling. Article 8, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution and 460.10U(D). Science, not opinion, is clear. Millimeter wave radio frequency radiation does interact with human biology and can cause a series of harmful and deleterious effects to all biological life. R792, 10.436, Rule 436.1, 460.351, Section 1, R792, 10.428, Rule 428, R460.157, Rule 57.6. I have a right to self-defense. Michigan Penal Code 780.972, Section 2, and the pursuit of happiness. Meyer versus Nebraska. When a device is affixed to my private dwelling against my knowledge and consent that does generate an entity that does forcibly enter into my dwelling that is also causing me ongoing harm while I am not in the commission of the crime, I may act to protect myself. 460.563, Section 3, 1, 2. 6.7, after AEP, after I said wait, because I care about their safety on 6.6, R460.152, Rule 52, ironically and punitively utilized my local PD as personal bodyguards, intentionally escalating the situation unjustly, inaccurately and punitively. AEP slandered my standing with my local government and blackened my community reputation wrongly. R460.103, Rule 3. I attempted redress and corrective action with AEP, but was stonewalled. R460.147, Rule 47A, R460.150, Rule 51. When I informed AEP I would file a complaint with the Michigan Public Service Commission, the next day, AEP acted to place me on an unjust, unreasonable, and dangerous list. R460.103, Rule 3, R460.155, Rule 55.6. I received this libelous famosus letter after I requested an informal investigation via the Michigan Public Service Commission website, who shortly after informed me that AEP denies everything and that the buck stops there unless I wish to file a formal complaint. Considering the seriousness and validity of my testament, this proclamation appears less than reasonable, honest, just, or accurate. Article 6, Section 28, Article 7, Section 34, Article 11, Section 1, Article 1, Section 10 of the Michigan Constitution, R792, 10439, Rule 439, 46055, Section 5, 46010C, Section 10C2. I filed a formal complaint and while it instructed me to provide a detailed description of the event, mine took place over many days and raised multiple violations. I was told I was not concise enough, that nothing I said falls within the Public Service Commission jurisdiction, and my request for investigation was denied. Very politely, I was informed I could refile with 7 copies of my evidence to be submitted, even though the formal complaint form provided states I shall file with 3 copies.
We're at about 8 minutes.
Okay, let me finish with this last statement then. Utilizing an erroneous, convoluted, illogical, and questionable argument, August of last year, the FCC was shown to have not provided any required proof to the safety of pulsed millimeter wave bandwidth. 8/13/21, the FCC lost in court. Their claim of pulsed millimeter wave without any proof as safe held no water. Therefore, as the public body meant to represent the citizen, I ask how you expect to hold any public integrity or hold any public confidence when you choose willfully and negligently to rely on a failed, nonsensical argument rather than current judicial ruling and science generated since U-17,000. Thomas Jefferson said, "The care of life and happiness, not their destruction, is the first and only legitimate object of a good government." I came here so you knew the citizen was real, that we are human, not lab rats or data points, that we exist, and that when you cut us, we bleed. America is a special place, but if the code violations and unlawful conduct I just described amount to jack, why even have codes and laws? Why have R60 10AA, Section 10AA, 46010C, Section 10C1, 3G, 46112, Section 2, 46506, Section 6, 46555, Section 5, 46555, Section 7, 1, 2, and 6, Article 1, Section 11, Article 10, Section 2 of the Michigan Constitution? Why even call this America when forceful and sick government-permitted acts against the citizen are the playbook of places like China, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Afghanistan, etc.? Why allow the opening of an accurate accusation of constitutional subversion, treason, and tyranny to the homeland? Just call America China 2.0, and I wouldn't have any rights to redress. Some of the stuff I left out, though, was that I want you to ban smart meters from the private dwelling immediately. I don't know how I know I can't ask questions, but I don't understand how the FCC or the commission can rely on the FCC when the FCC's argument was tossed in the trash.
Do you have the written material? Can I grab this?
Yeah. No. Second. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anybody else in person who would like to offer verbal comments at this time? Okay. We will move to public comments through the remote options. Again, if you'd like to make a comment and have access to the Teams live stream Q&A feature on your computer, you can enter your name and your comment, which will then be read aloud to the commissioners. This feature is available on the right-hand side of the control bar next to the mute button. And after taking comments through this feature, we'll open up the phone line for those who have called into the meeting and would like to address the commission verbally. If you want to be queued up for verbal comments, you can enter your name in the Teams live stream Q&A feature and indicate that you wish to make a verbal comment, but please do not include your written comment, as this will avoid duplication. I will first call on those names in the order received, and after hearing from those individuals listed in the Q&A, we will ask if there are any comments from individuals who are using the phone line but not utilizing the online Q&A feature. Ms. Cole, I believe that you are again assisting with this portion of the agenda. Do we have any written comments in the live stream Q&A?
There are no comments or requests to speak in the Q&A today.
Always anticipating my next question. we have anybody joining us today who's participating only through the live stream or through the phone option? And you may have to press *6 on your... Yep, thank you. All right, we're doing public comments at this time. I'm not going to do all of what I just said, but we don't have any comments who have added them in writing through the Teams live stream Q&A feature. If you are interested in queuing up, you can do so now. We'll also open the phone lines directly, and if there's anybody who's participating through the phone option who would like to provide public comment, you may do so now. You may have to press *6 on your phone to unmute. We'll see again if there's anybody who is interested in offering public comment at this time. Again, press *6 to unmute. Okay, we will close the public comment portion of the meeting at this time. Before we close out the meeting altogether, a couple of announcements. First, the Commission submitted its renewable natural gas report to the legislature last week on September 28th. It identified or outlined the potential of using renewable natural gas, or RNG, in Michigan and the barriers to developing and using RNG in Michigan. It was a report that was conducted at the direction of the legislature as part of Public Act 87 of 2021, and we have posted the study on our website. As required under the statute that directed us to perform the report identifies existing and potential RNG sources in Michigan and estimates the energy content and greenhouse gas abatement potential of those sources. It estimates the cost per unit of heat and the potential greenhouse gas emission reduction per unit of heat should potential RNG sources be used to the greatest practical extent. Compares the estimated per unit cost savings of greenhouse gas emission reductions estimated for RNG sources to the estimated likely per unit cost savings from the use of other carbon abatement technologies, including hydrogen blending, building electrification, and similar technologies. Estimates the RNG potential or production potential by applicable feedstock sources in Michigan, and identifies barriers to developing and utilizing RNG in Michigan. Appreciate the many stakeholders who participated in this process, as well as our consultants from ICF, and certainly our staff who led a fairly intensive and time-sensitive process to come up with a report that I think will be meaningful in informing energy policy now and in years to come. In addition, we also issued a timely request for proposals for the Low Carbon Energy Infrastructure Enhancement and Development grants that were authorized under Public Acts 53 and 166 of 2022. This provides for a combined $50 million in grants for businesses, nonprofit organizations, and local governments to develop, acquire, or build low-carbon energy facilities. And these facilities can include natural gas, combined heat and power, or renewable natural gas facilities, as well as electrification programs. We've created a low-carbon energy infrastructure enhancement and development grants website on our website at the Commission, and that dedicated website also includes a detailed timeline for submitting applications and opportunities to seek clarification on the RFP. Potential applicants may submit clarifying questions on the RFP in 2 rounds. The first is by October 21st, with responses due by November 4th, and the second by November 11th, with responses due by November 23rd. And then ultimately, proposals for funding under the program must be submitted by January 6th, 2023. And then finally, I know that the Commission joins all those celebrating Yom Kippur today, and we extend the Commission's best wishes for an easy fast for all those observing. Are there any other announcements? None additional here, Chair. The next regular Commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 27, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to adjourn. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.